Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we have a different kind of video. We will be talking about this relatively new mobile game called Axis Football 2023. This is possibly the best mobile football game, and I'll show you why in this video. I will be focusing on 3 main points of the game to tell you guys about. First, I'll talk about team customization, then gameplay, and finally franchise mode. Make sure to stick to the end to learn more about this game and if it is worth playing. Team customization is fantastically executed in this game. Axis Football offers color templates from college football, NFL, and other minor leagues. There are over 400 logos to choose from, and using an RGB or red, green, blue color system, you can make your team any colors you want. To test out Create a Team for yourself, you want to click Create, then Team Suit, and then you can click Create Team or Edit Existing Teams, which is just the teams that come with the game. To start, you want to create a name for your team, or you can look at the logos and see which name matches one of the logos. Here's an example team, and as you can see, I just put in a random city, and I just thought of Williamsburg for some reason, I don't know why. And then for their team name, I put the Wolves. You then can make your team's 3 primary colors or choose from the templates given to you. Here's a look at all the templates. Now looking at the RGB system, you can either play around with it and make a color or put in a hex code to have a specific color. Here's an example logo I made just so you can get a feel what it looks like to make one. Now here are all the different logo options. As you can see, there are many to choose from, and you shouldn't have any trouble picking a logo for your team. You then click Accept when you're happy and start looking at your uniforms. Once you click on uniforms, the game gives you some auto-generated uniforms just to start out with. You can then change your uniforms to look like almost whatever you want, with 21 helmet styles, 22 jersey styles, 17 pant styles, and 39 fonts to use on your jersey. You can also wear a visor, have your team logo on your helmet or off, wear arm sleeves or armbands, and make almost any part of your jersey any color you want. Here's a quick montage of me making a uniform. We did the helmet, now the jersey. Next, the pants. And finally, the number font. I ended up picking the Tiger Stripe font. Now that we finished the uniform, we can look at more advanced features. First is the play selection. You can change how your team plays on each down, and this is a great feature if you're simming games or just using coach suggestions. Now we can look at your team's roster. Your roster is made of randomly generated players you can change by regenerating your team. Also, you can change your players' ratings and physical appearance, so you can have fun with that and make your team however you want. You can also change your team's field. You can change the style of the field and the end zone style. For the team I made, I used a gray field and the mountains end zone style. Finally, you can change the playbook your team uses. There isn't many options, but I don't believe I would need more than this. You then click Accept Changes, and now you can play with your team. Here's some gameplay from a team I'm using right now in a franchise. And I'm going to talk to you about my experiences with gameplay so far. First, I'll start with the pros, then I'll talk about the cons. A good thing about the gameplay is that the players' physics are very realistic. This is important because you don't feel like you're getting sucked into an animation every play. Another thing is that I feel like the tackling AI is very smart and that they react quickly to the ball carrier. Finally, a big thing they did correctly is the animations. The animations feel very clean. One example of this is when you juke. You won't feel forced into a juke animation, but instead smoothly transitioned into one. And even though they may not have the biggest library of animations, the ones they have are very well done. To start the cons, I feel like sometimes when a player is getting tackled, they might glitch into another player. But this isn't a big problem because it rarely happens and doesn't affect the outcome of the play. Next, I feel like the defensive back AI isn't very good, as sometimes the defenders will have their back completely turned away from the ball and the receivers will make the catch. This doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's very easy to exploit. For my final con, I feel like the player movement is a little bit too sensitive, and it's very hard to adjust to. Also, sometimes when you switch on to a player to make a tackle, they'll cut back very unorganically, and it will take you out the play. That's it for the gameplay, so I'll move on to the next section of the video. If you guys are watching this point, I hope that means you are enjoying the video. If you don't mind just taking a second to hit the like button down below, and maybe even the subscribe button if you want to see more of my content. In franchise mode, there are 4 important tabs: the dashboard, stats, personnel, and front office. Starting at the front office, we're going to take a look at scouting. At the beginning of the year, you can buy a scouting report that shows you which regions have the best players at each position. In each region, you can pick what positions you scout. You have 3 slots where you can select what position you want to scout, and this is available in every region. To scout a player, you click on them and then click Scout Player. As you can see, you are able to do this in every region. Next, we're looking at the coaching staff. You can look at your head coach, coordinators, position coaches, and scouts. You can also hire and fire staff. Next is the team draft guide. This is where you can look at all the recruits, your team season rankings, the positions your team should upgrade, their projected best players in the draft, and all your draft picks. Now you have your financial revenue. This is where you can see how much money you've made or lost in a season. You get more money by your team performing better in a season. Here's your practice intensity. This is where you can choose how hard you want your players working at certain drills. The last thing on the front office page is your facilities. Here you can manage your stadium, training, rehab, and transportation. You can fix things with your funds, but make sure not to spend too much so you have enough for contracts with players and staff. Next is the personnel tab. First is free agency. Here you can pick up any player that is not currently on a team. Some players are very good and are only in free agency because their old teams couldn't afford their contract. To offer a contract to a player, you just click on them, then click offer contract and see if they accept. Next is the depth chart. Here you can look at your team and choose who starts at each position. You can switch players by clicking on a player and then clicking on the player you want to switch them with. Another feature is trading. You can trade players and picks up to 3 years in the future. The other things you can do in personnel is putting players on the practice squad and having to deal with players' contracts in the offseason. Looking at stats now, you can see your franchise, team, and individual records. For your team records, you can look at your team history, team season, individual game, individual season, and individual all-time records. Team history shows your overall record, your best season, and single game yardage records. Team season shows your best stats from a season. Next is your individual game stats, where you can see your best stats from games. Individual season is your best season stats, and individual all-time is your best all-time stats. Team record shows your best stats from a game and in a season, while individual records is a player's best stats from a game, season, and all-time. Now we're looking at league leaders, which are players that have the best stats from that season. Next is team leaders, which are your players' best stats from that year. You can also see your team's rankings in different stat categories. Next is dashboard. First, you can look at your current matchup. You can change your playbooks and your uniform in this area. This is also how you start games against the computer in a franchise. You can also look at your schedule, where you can see all the games you'll play or have played that year. You can also see all the league games, the playoff bracket, and all the division standings. Finally, you can see all the weekly and yearly awards this season. That's it for the video. I hope this helped you guys, and please leave a like and comment down below and let me know what I can do so you guys can enjoy the video more. Thanks for watching, I'll see you guys next video.